Mariinka begins long before the world watched the full-scale invasion. In eastern Ukraine, the film traces several young Ukrainians whose lives have been forever shaped by more than 10 years of war and conflict in the Donbas region. The film follows several people, a girl smuggling unexpected goods across the front line just to survive, a promising young boxing talent who turned a military paramedic, and two brothers now fighting on opposite sides of the front line against each other. The youngest brother lives in safety far from the war with a foster family in the United States. Mariinka is directed by Pierre Jean Depew and is his second feature after The Land of the Enlightened, and Mariinka just debuted at the 2026 CPH DOX Documentary Film Festival. Mariinka is one of the strongest documentaries to come from the Ukraine-Russian war, and a war that seems to be never-ending, and this film really focuses on several people. We really get to know these people, and they really, even though they're living separate lives, they are far apart from each other, they really do have a connection in this film, and that is probably the strongest aspect of this film. Another strong aspect of this film is war sucks. It's just so many people suffer in this film, and we get images of this country. Ukraine is such a beautiful country, but it's also, the footage in this film is mixed with just devastation. The buildings and whole blocks of cities are just completely destroyed. Shot over a span of 10 years. The film focuses on several people. We meet Natasha, who was a once promising boxer, and now she's kind of our guide throughout the film. We go through the cities, and they was completely devastated, and she's a medic in the war helping people. We first meet her as a teenager, and she's not really kind of making sense of this war. She doesn't really know what's going on, and then by the end of the film, we see her helping people throughout the film, casualties in the war. And we meet four brothers who grew up in an orphanage, and one of them has been adopted as a baby by a foster family in the United States, and he's in the United States now. He's very accustomed to American life, but he still does like video calls and stuff with his family back in Ukraine, but he's very much embedded in American society now. But as he's gotten older throughout the film, you see him get like bigger and bigger and taller throughout the film. He kind of feels like he wants to do like military service, but his family in Ukraine and so on, like, don't. It's just like you're lucky to be in America, so please don't think about war. War is not great. It's not something to be look up to. But he feels kind of like embedded to. He really wants to pursue a career in the military. And we see some footage of two brothers, Mark and Rushan, who fight for opposite sides of the war, and we see messages throughout the film that they still love each other, they still respect each other, they still fight throughout the film, but they're on opposite sides of the war. Like Rushan, he just doesn't really see any life for him in Ukraine. He sees it as like a lost nation, and that's why he's fighting for Russia. And there's a fourth brother from the orphanage who is not featured in this film, but we find out in the epilogue scene at the end of the film that he did manage to get recovery for his injuries. And one thing that is stark throughout this film is most of the people in this film, they've lost their parents, either via the war or just their parents just left them. They just either by drug abuse or alcohol abuse, or just they're lost in their lives. So these young people have to not only deal with the war, but they have to fend for themselves without their parents. I give Mariinka 4 stars out of 5. I definitely recommend checking out this film, even though it's not an easy watch. It's very strikingly photographed by the director, and it's definitely one of the best films to come out of the Ukraine-Russian war. It's quite devastating. It doesn't really end on a hopeful note, but it really does focus on quite a few people that are battling in the Ukraine war, and we really do get to know them. So it's quite a devastating watch, but I do highly recommend checking out this film, Mariinka. Thanks for watching. What do you think of Mariinka? Please comment below what you thought of the film. See you next time. Bye.